Hello everyone and welcome back to this system series of Star Trek Online. My name is Winters and you are very, very welcome. So for this episode, we're actually not going to do an introduction into a new system, but rather a advanced introduction or advanced guide into the duty officer system. And as you know, we already done a basic introduction quite a few episodes back. But as I said there, this is going to be more advanced. It's not that it's harder, it's just looking at the system, a little bit more in depth. So let's open up the duty officer window. So the first thing I want to talk about is the commendations, specifically engineering, military, and medical. And I think I said it in the basic introduction into the duty officer system that for each one of the different commendations for each rank, you can get a free duty officer, which you can pick up at Starfleet Academy by talking to, I think it's Lieutenant Farah or the personnel officer. Actually, it might be the personnel officer, whatever. It's one of the two of them. They're in the same place anyway. So if we look at science here, we can see for rank 1 you get a single green quality, you get another green at rank 2, and you get a blue one at rank 3 and a purple one at rank 4. Well, for engineering, military and medical, there are additional duty officers that you can actually get. So you can see here we have the single green quality duty officer as per normal, but you have a white emergency engineering hologram once you get to rank 1. Rank 2 you have the other green quality duty officer, which you pick up from Starfleet Academy, and then you have may replicate a green emergency engineering hologram, and it continues on, blue for rank 3 and purple for rank 4. So I'm going to open up my inventory and then I'm going to open up the replicator, and if we go all the way down to the bottom, we can see that we have duty officers here, and like I said, you have a different one for hitting the different ranks for medical, military, which in this case gives you security officers, and then you have engineering ones. You have a common, you have an uncommon, you have a rare, and finally a very rare. As you can see, the common one costs 1,000 energy credits, and that's a big difference. Since they're coming from the replicator, they cost energy credits. The uncommon one costs you 10,000. The rare or blue quality one costs you 100,000. And the very rare or purple one costs you 1 million energy credits. So there's some additional duty officers, and they're not bad. You can see I've already purchased the blues and purples for each of them. I didn't bother picking up the commons or uncommons, but when you're starting off, they might be very, very useful to you. I mean, if you want, you can get rid of them later. But this was something that I didn't find out about until I've been playing the game for a very long time, and a lot of players don't realize this. But yeah, there's 4 purple, or not 4, sorry, 3 purple quality duty officers and 3 rare or blue quality duty officers, and you can find them quite useful. Right, the next thing I want to talk about, and I can't remember if I again done this in the previous episode, but I want to focus on specifically diplomacy. And for rank 4 diplomacy, one of the bonuses is to select a single bridge officer candidate from an enemy faction. And I want to show you who that guy is. So if we open up our character sheet, I'm trying to find him here. Where is he? Is it this guy? Nope. Wow, I can't find him. Oh wait, here he is. Is this? No, damn it, it's not him. There he is. Okay. Yes, so this is clearly a KDF aligned bridge officer. There are a number of bridge officers that you can select from. You have Orion, you have Klingon, you have Gorn, and you have Nausicaan. Gorn and Nausicaan, there are no females. Orion has females and Klingon has females, but you have a choice of either one for those two. And as I said, for Nausicaan and for Gorn, there are no females. You just have two options for males. Anyway, the reason why I went with the Nausicaan is because if we go to traits, we can see that they have this trait here called Pirate, which is bonus damage and perception, and represented by this icon here means that it is a space trait. And if we click on details, we can see the Pirate trait itself gives a plus 1.5% bonus to all damage. Mightn't seem like a lot, but you know, you're getting 1.5 bonus to all damage just for having him on your bridge crew, you know, here in the proper seating. This is where I have him here. The thing about this trait is as well that it actually stacks. So if you have another bridge officer that has that trait, it'll actually stack with it. And you get this guy for free. Now, if you have picked up one of the other bridge officers, so let's say you picked up one of the Gorns, okay, and maybe it was a tactical Gorn, you can dismiss that Gorn and you can go back and claim the Nausicaan again, if you want. I recommend that you don't go for tactical when you're picking the Gorn. In fact, the Nausicaan. I actually recommend that you go for the engineer, and here's why. Your tactical stations, alright, see here for me, I have 3 of them. Your tactical stations, you want your Romulans from the embassy with the superior Romulan operative trait. See, this is one of my Romulans. I go to traits and we can see here he is superior Romulan operative, which is plus crit and crit severity, reduces cloak cooldown, plus 2% critical chance, plus 5% critical severity, and like I said here, I've got 3 of them, so that's quite a big boost just for having those Romulans from your fleet embassy. It's a pretty big bonus, so I recommend that all your tactical stations be taken up with them. Now, you might only have 2 tactical stations on your ship, you might even only have 1 on your ship, but whatever amount of tactical stations you have, you definitely want them to be from the embassy. Your science station, I've only got 1, but he definitely needs to be Mr. Potato Head, that you get from one of the Delta Quadrant missions. And here's the reason why. If we go to traits, we can see he's also got the Pirate trait. He's also got Efficient, okay? Now, I realize that you may have 2, maybe even 3 science stations on your ship, in which case one of them definitely needs to be him. You can get a Nausicaan as a science officer, so you might go that route, maybe. And then you know, you might have a human possibly then as your third or your 1, 2, 3, your 4th, sorry, variant on your ship. But anyway, the Nausicaan comes with the Pirate trait, and you get him for rank 4 diplomacy. So that's another reason to get your rank 4 diplomacy up, a very good reason there. Next thing I want to talk about is to do with the commendations as well. Once you reach rank 4, that is 100,000 XP in that particular commendation. You can continue beyond 100,000 XP up to a cap of 150,000 XP. As you can clearly see here, I'm above 100,000 on all of the different commendations at the moment. But for every 10,000 XP over 100,000 XP, you can turn that 10,000 in at your fleet starbase for fleet marks. So I'm actually going to demonstrate that now. So we open up the... Oh wait, I passed by it, didn't I? Fleet starbase system. Right, so we open up the transwarp window and we're going to transwarp to our fleet starbase. If you can't transwarp to your fleet starbase, maybe your fleet doesn't have that unlocked yet. Yeah, that's probably the only reason that I can think of that would stop you from being able to transwarp to your fleet starbase. It might be just because it's not unlocked. Right, we can close this down for now, and we'll dock at the station. It's loading. So yeah, like I was saying there, for every 10,000 over 100,000, you can turn that 10,000 in for fleet marks. If you had 109,999, you wouldn't be able to turn that in, because you can, you know, if you did, then you'd be back down to 99,999, and you cannot go below 100,000. It just, the system won't let you go below 100,000. So anyway, we come out the transporter room, we go straight across, we go down here into the operations center, and this is what we're looking for, this console here, right in on the right hand side. File commendation report. And assuming you are over 10,000 in all the commendations, then they will all be selectable for you. So I'm going to pick diplomacy here. And we select it, and it opens up the duty officer window. We can see that it takes diplomatic XP, and it says 10,000. It rewards a little bit of expertise, but we begin the assignment anyway. And in 8 hours, we will basically get either 75 fleet marks, or we will get, I think it's 90 fleet marks. It might be 100 fleet marks. I can't remember. I think it's 100. God, so basically what I do is, right, I build up all my commendations up to 150,000, and when there's a bonus marks weekend, I then start turning all of these in throughout the whole weekend, and I get bonus marks for every single one of these missions that I do. And as you can see, they take 8 hours each, so it will definitely take you the full weekend to turn them all in, you know, because if you're at 100,000, then that's five of those missions for each commendation. But yeah, that's filing commendation reports to get fleet marks. It's actually a really, really good way of getting fleet marks. I have a ridiculous amount of fleet marks, well, on this character. But yeah, you know, can help you out to build up your fleet credit levels. Anyway, we are going to leave the fleet starbase now. Okay, the next thing that we are going to talk about is active slots. So again, we open up the duty officer window, but this time we're going to go to the roster tab. And if you look here on the left hand side, we can see we have active space and active ground. So let's select active space. If you notice, all of these duty officers have some bonuses attached to them. So for example, this guy here, the con officer, alright, chance to reduce the time to recharge evasive maneuvers. And if we right click on him, we can see that reduce the time for evasive maneuvers to recharge after use by 5 seconds. Improve recharge time by 5 seconds. That's what he does. It's a chance of doing that. If we go back from that, we can look at this guy. Chance to reduce the time to recharge torpedoes, and then ground and space, increase damage versus Alachi. And we right click on him again. Chance to reduce the time for torpedoes to recharge after use. Does not work with the Omega Plasma torpedo launcher. It's a 20% chance. Improve recharge time by 5 seconds. And then the Alachi stuff again. So every single duty officer, or nearly every single duty officer, civilians don't usually have anything. They all have something. So let's look at this. Alright, nearly every one of them has something. So what you want to do is you want to think about your build, your playstyle, and then ways that you can improve it. And what you can do then is you can select that duty officer, and you can put them on what is known as active duty by pressing this button down here, and it will move the duty officer from here over here. And if we look at the ones I have, I've got a con officer here. His name is Zimok Genru. Reduce recharge time for attack patterns Beta, Delta, and Omega. Reduce recharge time for attack patterns Beta, Delta, and Omega by 15%. Okay? That's what he does. It's not a chance. That's what he does. He reduces the recharge time by 15%. This guy, Energy Weapons Officer. Chance to gain shield power when using emergency weapons. I have another copy of Zimok Genru because he stacks. And by the way, in case you're wondering how you know if a duty officer stacks or not, it will not let you put on a second copy of an officer if he doesn't stack. So let's say this energy weapons guy, he doesn't stack. If I remove Zimok and try to put another copy of him on, it won't let me, because his one doesn't stack. So the only way of knowing that, I realize I'm saying that you have to buy a second copy of the duty officer first if you don't already have him. The other way is basically by going to the wiki. STO Gamepedia is what you're looking for, or just Google it even. You'll probably get your answer there. Warp Core Engineer, this guy doesn't stack, otherwise I'd have another one of him on there. Chance of temporarily improving your ship's power levels on use of any emergency power ability. Chance to improve your ship's weapons, shields, engines, and auxiliary power on use of any emergency power ability. 20% chance, power levels plus 25. Frickin' huge, alright? However, if you are not using any emergency power ability, there's no point in having that guy on there. As you can see down here, I've got emergency power to weapons 1. I'm using that ability. Alright, so I'm getting a chance of improving my power levels by having that guy. But if I didn't have that, then I'd have a different duty officer in there. There'd be no point in having that guy on there whatsoever. Complete waste of time. So you need to figure out what duty officers you can get that are going to enhance your performance and your build. If you're a science captain in a science ship using science abilities, then you probably want some of the science-based ones. If we go down here to some science stuff, chance to placate when using charged particle burst. Chance to create an aftershock gravity well. So if you were using gravity wells, then that'd be a good one to use. Chance to create an aftershock gravity well and increase damage versus Lachi. Chance for minus 15-second recharge on shield heals when using science team. So you can see, you can look at your current duty officers and see what each one of them says, and then figure out, alright, well, I'm using X ability, so I'm going to put him on because he's going to have Y effect. So I can't tell you need X, Y, and Z duty officers. You're the one that's going to have to do the research. You're going to have to look at what duty officers you actually have, which ones are going to improve your build and your performance, and then put them on active duty. By default, you can put 5 duty officers on active duty. There is the option to increase that to 6 duty officers by going to your fleet spire and purchasing a 6th active space and ground slot. It is expensive. I want to say it's 100,000 fleet credits, but it's freaking worth it. It really, really is worth it. So yeah, I mentioned ground there as well. You can have a maximum of 6 duty officers on active duty for ground, and you need to do the same thing again. If you go through your duty officers for ground, you will be able to see what effects each duty officer has, and then if it works into your build, and put him on active duty. So very important. These 6 or 12 duty officers on active duty can make a huge difference to your build. A huge difference. To be honest, this is the last thing I do on a character, because some of the duty officers, like, they cost an arm and a leg, and you know, I'm not always space rich, and to be honest, a lot of people actually forget about them. Like I said, I always leave it to the last thing that I do on a character. And I have many characters that don't even have anything on them yet because I'm still working on them. But anyway, yeah, so they can make a big difference to your build and your effectiveness, both in space and ground. Right, the next thing I want to talk about is actually to do with where we are now, Nebulas and Clusters. So, if we look at the map here, alright, we're in the beta quadrant. Scattered throughout the map, you have these icons here. See this one here, it says Delta Volanus Cluster. You have another one here called the Crucius Arm. You have another one here called the Hiromi Cluster. Another one here called the Tong Nebula. The Dekel Star Cluster. Eridon Nebula. Azlea Expanse. Betran Cluster, and so on. There's a number of them in the beta quadrant. There's more up here as well. Okay, and if we look at the alpha quadrant, we can see that there's some here as well. We have the Bektreka Nebula, we have the Rolar Nebula, and we have the Zenus Expanse. There are none in the delta quadrant or the gamma quadrant currently in the game. If you're looking at this video and you notice these icons in the gamma or delta quadrants, then they're a nebula or cluster, and it means that there are duty officer missions available there. So we can see here we're at the Azlea Expanse, and I'm actually going to do a character change, but I want to show you one thing really quick. Well, it's disappeared, or else, the sector must have updated. Right, never mind. I'm going to do a character change, and you will see why in a minute. Okay, we're going on to this dude. So every single one of those nebulas or clusters, every single one in game, and I can't remember exactly how many there are. There's something like I don't know, 10 or about 15-ish, roughly, I think, in game. You can see here we're at the Delta Volanus cluster. So we click on this, and up pops a list of available missions. And if you notice this one here, colony site survey in the Delta Volanus cluster. it's a little different because it has this 1 of 7 on it. That means that it is part of an assignment chain, okay? And every single one of these nebulas or clusters, the Harami cluster, the Tong Nebula, the Dekel star cluster, and so on, every single one of them has one of these 7-part assignment chains, meaning that there's 7 missions in the chain to complete it. The missions vary in length from 15 minutes to 20 hours. The missions vary from common quality missions to to uncommon missions. Uncommon missions are available every every 4 to 8 hours or something like that, or every other sector update. So these are very, very good to do, because once you complete all 7 steps in the assignment chain, you will get, on the 7th step, alright, the final step, you will get a rare duty officer, okay? And I'm going to start that mission now. I'm going to go back to the other character, and we are just going to travel a little bit to try and find an example for the next thing that I want to explain to you guys in relation to nebulas and clusters. Right, I'm just going to check here one more time, make sure I didn't miss it the last time, because that is possible. No, I didn't. Right, up we go to the Bertrand cluster, and we're going to kick in transport. Okay, so it'll take about a week, assuming that you're working consistently on the assignment chain. It's going to take you about a week to complete the assignment chain for any one of these nebulas or clusters. It is totally possible to do them all together at the same time, assuming that you have enough duty officers to support that amount of missions. But for each one, it takes about a week, and you can tackle it whatever way you want. Each one of them gives a rare or blue quality duty officer on the 7th step. Every single one of them. So that's a great way of getting some pretty decent duty officers. Now, once you have completed the 7th step, that unlocks a brand new repeatable mission. It will not have, 1 of 7 or 2 of 7 or 3 of 7 or even 7 of 7 on it. It will not be marked by the X of 7 at all. It will have no designation like that whatsoever. It will appear just like any of these other normal missions, okay? And I'm hoping we're going to find an example of it here at the Bertrand cluster. But if you come across this mission, and if it's available for you, and let's have a look here and see. I want to do this mission while I'm here because it's a good payout on XP. I want to do this one as well. Dang it, it's not there. Right, okay, on to the next one. So yeah, where was I? Yes, this brand new unlocked mission is called Support Colonization Efforts in Wherever. So the Bertrand cluster, the Delta Valanus cluster, the Harami cluster, the Bektreka Nebula, or whatever it is. It'll have a name like that. I think I'm remembering that correctly. There's another one I want to do. Dang it. Alright, we're moving on to the next one. So if you do this mission and you get a critical success on the mission, you will be rewarded with a very rare duty officer. Okay? And every single one of these nebulas and clusters has one of these missions in it. So for example, the Bertrand cluster, if you get this mission that I'm talking about, support colonization efforts in the Bertrand cluster, and remember there's no 1 of 7 or 7 of 7 or 8 of 7 or anything like that at all. It's just simply titled support colonization efforts in the Bertrand cluster. Let's have a look if it's in this one. It's not going to be here either, is it? Oh, I need something. I need shield charges. Okay. Replicator. Let's replicate a bunch. And... oh, I still need something. What are they? Warp coils. Self-sealing stem bolts. Okay, now we can do that mission. Dang it. Man, I don't think I've ever found it so hard to find one of these missions. Typical though, isn't it? You know, like when you want it, it doesn't show up, and when you don't want it, you can find it straight away. So yeah, every single one of these nebulas and clusters that are in the beta and alpha quadrants has one of these missions, and if you get a critical success on that mission, you will get a very rare duty officer. Each one of the nebulas and clusters has a different type of very rare duty officer attached to it. The Bertrand cluster is a very rare technician. The Delta Volanus cluster, I think, is a very rare doctor. He's definitely very rare. I think it's a doctor. The Harami cluster has an astrometric scientist, and there's a whole bunch of them. Like I said, every single one of these has a different type of very rare duty officer attached to it. Now here's the thing. Each one of those missions, this bonus mission that I said unlocks once you've completed all 7 steps, is 100% repeatable, meaning that you can do it over and over and over again to your heart's content and farm as many very rare duty officers for 100% free as much as you want. But the trick is, you have to get a critical success on the mission. If you do not get a critical success, you will actually end up with a refugee. Okay? So if you just get a normal success, you end up with a refugee. But if you get a critical, you get a free, very rare duty officer. And depending on the cluster or nebula that you're at, it will determine what type of duty officer you get. So we're just going to quickly see here if we can get if we can find one here at the Delta Volanus, and if not, we'll call it quits, I think. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, one thing I do want to say. Assignment chains. You can check your progress here on the duty officer window. Under duty officers, click on assignment chains, and you can check your progress on every single assignment chain that you have ever worked on. And all you have to do is hit expand, and it will show you exactly how many missions are in that assignment chain. So for example, Karma Colonial Team, we can see there's 3 missions. This one is a rare mission. It is a development mission. This one is uncommon, and it's a science mission. And this one is also uncommon, and it's a recruitment mission. So, for example, this uncommon one, it would either fall under the science category here, or else you would have to go to your science category here under department heads and find it listed here. Okay, so that's where you can keep track of them. I know of 35 assignment chains that are in the game. That is the maximum amount of assignment chains that I know of in the game. To be honest, I don't think there are any more, because I would have come across them by now. So there are 35 assignment chains currently in game. Now, here's the mission I was talking about. We're at the Delta Volanus cluster, so it's support Delta Volanus cluster colonization efforts. Alright? You can see there's no 1 of 7, there's no 7 of 7, there's no 6 of 7, there's no 8 of 7, there's nothing. It's just named as a normal mission. Depending on the location, it'll be exactly like that, except for the location will be different. So, support Bertrand cluster colonization efforts. Support Harami cluster colonization efforts. And support Tong Nebula colonization efforts. What I look for when I'm trying to find this mission is this icon. Alright? This icon represents that you get a duty officer, and we can see here it says special duty officer. If I do this mission now, I have a 74% chance of getting a success and a 26% chance of getting a critical success. If I get a normal success, I will just get these basic rewards for it, and this item will be a refugee. If, however, I get a critical success, this item will be a very rare duty officer. And because I'm at the Delta Volanus cluster, it's going to be a doctor. I'm pretty sure that it's a doctor that comes from here. So that is the mission that you need to keep an eye out for. And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that it's 7 of 7 that you need, that is the repeatable mission. It's not. Alright? Once you complete 7 of 7, it unlocks this mission for every single nebula or cluster in game that has duty officer missions attached to it. Right, I hope I've done a good enough job explaining that to you guys. That's a lot of duty officers, very rare duty officers that you can get for 100% free, and you can get as many of them as you want. I know this one, the Bertrand cluster, if you're doing an Ox to Bat build, you need 3 very rare technicians, and you can get all 3 of them from here. It'll be the same copy of the same duty officer, but who cares? You can get them all there for free. Totally worth it. You know, it requires a time investment. Anyway, we'll leave it there for this episode. Thanks a million for watching, folks. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those below. And as always, please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. My name is Winters, and I'll see you next time. So until then, take care.